Ladies and gentlemen, or should I say ghosts of my past, today we don't scream, we don't shout, we let the silence speak. Your silence means business. You see, the world loves noise. They thrive on it. Gossip, lies, accusations. They weaponize words, hoping their sharp little daggers will tear you apart. But when you answer them with silence, oh, it unsettles their fragile little egos. They need your reaction. They crave your outrage. And when they don't get it, they spiral. You've seen it, haven't you? The way they panic when you don't fight back, when you don't explain, when you don't play their game. That's when they realize your silence isn't submission. It's strategy. It's control. They mistake your quiet for weakness. But let me tell you something about the quiet ones. The ones who don't waste their breath on futile arguments. The ones who hold their ground without uttering a single word. They're the most dangerous of all. Because silence is a loaded gun with a hair trigger. And when you finally decide to pull it, the world won't know what hit it. You've mastered the art of letting the storm rage around you while standing still. That's what terrifies them, doesn't it? The calm in your eyes when they hurl insults like stones at a mountain. The way you don't flinch, don't crumble. They scream louder, thinking they'll crack you open. But they don't realize you've built yourself out of silence, out of restraint, out of self-control. So unshakable, it's practically divine. Silence is the loudest declaration of war. When you stop defending yourself, stop explaining yourself, stop lowering yourself to their level, you declare, I owe you nothing. And that drives them mad, because people like them thrive on your attention. They can't survive without your validation. But you've starved them of it. Your silence holds power they can't fathom. You're no longer a puppet in their little theater of chaos. The strings they pulled so easily, your anger, your fear, your need to be understood, they've all snapped. Now they're left clutching at air, trying desperately to provoke a reaction from a ghost. And let me tell you, nothing scares a person more than realizing their power over you was always an illusion. The quiet one in the room is often the most dangerous. While they waste their energy screaming, you're watching, calculating, plotting. Their noise blinds them, but your silence sharpens you. Every word they spit is a breadcrumb leading to their weaknesses. Every insult, every slight, it's ammunition they don't even know they're handing you. And when the time comes when you finally speak or act, it'll be surgical, precise, devastating. Because you've been preparing for this while they were busy shouting at shadows. Silence isn't passive. Silence is power under control. You become the storm they never saw coming. Your silence means business because it's not born of fear. It's born of strength, the kind of strength they'll never understand. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. You don't need to justify your existence. Let them scream into the void while you carve your legacy in stone. They will break themselves trying to break you. Every taunt they throw is a confession of their insecurity. Every attempt to provoke you is an admission of their dependence on your response. Without you playing their game, they crumble. So stay silent. Let them implode. Let their own noise drown them. And when the dust settles, when the world is quiet once more, that's when you'll rise, not with words but with action. The silence isn't the end, it's the beginning. Because one day they'll look back and realize that the moment you stopped talking was the moment they started losing. Let them wonder. Let them fear. And when they finally understand, it'll be too late. Your silence means business. And business is booming. You see, silence isn't just a shield, it's a weapon. Every second you refuse to speak is a second they spend unraveling. They sit there analyzing, overthinking, crafting conspiracies in their little heads. Your silence turns their minds into prisons and they are their own jailers. And isn't that delicious? Watching them spiral all because you denied them the one thing they can't stand to lose, your attention. They want you to roar because it makes them feel powerful. A roar they can interpret, twist, and manipulate. But silence. Silence is terrifying because it offers no answers, no closure. It forces them to face the gaping void within themselves. They'll claw at the air, desperate to fill the emptiness your silence creates. But you've mastered the art of leaving them to rot in their own noise. You don't need to explain yourself to people who've already decided who you are. You don't owe them the satisfaction of knowing what you think, what you feel, or what you plan to do next. Your silence becomes their reckoning. Think of the moments that haunt people the most. It's not the fights, the screams, or the explosions. It's the stillness that follows, the eerie calm after the storm, the deafening quiet of a battlefield where they're left wondering who survived and who didn't. That's what you are now, a battlefield. A quiet, unshakable force they can't predict, can't control, and certainly can't destroy. And oh, how they'll beg for a reaction. They'll poke, prod, and provoke. They'll throw everything they have at you thinking they'll finally break through. But you won't give them the satisfaction. You won't give them a single crack to exploit. Because the moment you stay silent, you've already won. And when you do choose to speak, when you finally let a word escape your lips, it will carry the weight of 1,000 storms. It will shatter their delusions, their arrogance, their fragile little egos. One word from you will do what their entire arsenal of noise couldn't. It will destroy them. Silence is the language of the gods. The ancients knew it. They built temples where silence reigned, where people came to listen, not to the noise of the world but to the wisdom of the void. And you've become a living temple of that silence, a monument to restraint, to discipline, to power so vast it doesn't need to announce itself. Let them fear what they cannot understand. Let them tremble at the thought of what your silence might mean. Because silence doesn't mean you're doing nothing. Silence means you're building, plotting, evolving. And when you're ready, when the time is right, they won't stand a chance. They'll write stories about you. They'll say this was the one who spoke with silence and made the world listen. They'll remember how you didn't need to shout to be heard, how you didn't need to fight to win, you simply were. And that was enough to shake them to their core. So let them talk. Let them scream. Let them burn themselves out in their own chaos. And when the noise dies down, when the dust settles, you'll still be standing. Silent, unshaken, unstoppable. Your silence means business. And in this business, you've become untouchable.